At the beginning, it didn't feel toxic. It felt intense, magnetic, almost destiny. I told myself that love was supposed to be overwhelming, consuming, impossible to ignore. I thought I understood my heart, my needs, my patterns. But what I didn't know was that a resource existed that could help me rebuild my life. You will find it in the description and comments. At that time, I wasn't looking for clarity. I was addicted to connection. The relationship moved fast. Too fast, deep conversations early on. Promises that felt premature but intoxicating. I felt chosen in a way I never had before. And that feeling became everything. I ignored the small discomforts because the emotional highs were so powerful. When things were good, they were euphoric. When they weren't, I felt anxious, desperate, afraid of losing something I couldn't even fully explain. That was the first sign that I didn't recognize it yet. The conflict grew quietly, disguised as love. He needed reassurance constantly. My time, my attention, my emotional energy slowly revolved around him. When I set boundaries, he became distant. When I expressed discomfort, he accused me of being too sensitive. I started questioning my own reactions. Am I overreacting? Am I asking for too much? That's how manipulation works, not by force, but by confusion. I began walking on emotional eggshells, monitoring my words, adjusting my tone, anticipating moods. Love turned into vigilance, and yet I felt responsible for his happiness. When he withdrew, I panicked. When he returned, I felt relief and shame for needing it so badly. I didn't realize I was trapped in a cycle. Idealization, tension, withdrawal, reunion, over and over again. The breaking point didn't come with a scream or a betrayal. It came with exhaustion. One night, after another emotionally draining argument that somehow ended with me apologizing, I looked at myself and didn't recognize who I had become. I was anxious, insecure, afraid to speak honestly. And I asked myself a terrifying question. If this is love, why do I feel like I'm disappearing? That question cracked something open. The realization was painful but freeing. I wasn't in love. I was bonded through emotional dependency, through intermittent reinforcement, through fear of abandonment disguised as passion. I began to understand that toxic love doesn't feel bad all the time. That's why it's dangerous. It feels incredible just often enough to keep you hoping, waiting, trying harder. I started learning about emotional manipulation, trauma bonding, and how the nervous system becomes addicted to unpredictability. I saw myself clearly for the first time. I wasn't weak. I was conditioned. My anxiety wasn't a flaw. It was a response to instability. And suddenly, my reactions made sense. Rebuilding meant breaking the cycle. And breaking the cycle meant tolerating discomfort instead of chasing relief. It meant choosing distance over dopamine, silence over chaos. I stopped explaining myself to someone who benefited from misunderstanding me. I reclaimed my boundaries, even when it felt lonely, especially when it felt lonely. Healing wasn't immediate. I missed him. I missed the highs, but I didn't miss who I was becoming. Slowly, my nervous system calmed, my thoughts cleared. I began reconnecting with myself, my values, my intuition, my emotional truth. I learned that real love does not confuse you. It does not shrink you. It does not require self-betrayal. Today, I understand that toxic love is not love intensified. It is love distorted by control, fear, and unmet wounds. And escaping it was not an act of cruelty. It was an act of survival, of self-respect, of choosing peace over obsession. If you are stuck in a relationship that feels like an emotional roller coaster, know this. Consistency is not boring. It is healing. And love that costs you your sanity is not love. It is a lesson. At the end of my journey, he discovered guidance and a resource that helped him face anxiety and rebuild his life. You can access it too. The link is in the description and comments. Because breaking free from toxic love begins with rebuilding your self-worth. True freedom begins in the mind and only then appears in life. If this story resonated with you, like the video and subscribe to Love and Mind for more content on toxic relationships, emotional psychology, and healing the mind.